So good morning. If you watched last week's video, I made it to here. This is Whittington Wharf because I was trying to race through a lock closure. And this is what happens when you live on the canals over winter, is they have a lot of closures due to winter works. So not only are you trying to navigate around those, but also the weather. And that's why we're going to be moving today, because the forecast is snow and ice. So I'd rather be near a bit more civilization for that to happen. So I'm heading towards Ellesmere, which is the nearest town, so I can get supplies easily, things like that. So let's go. I've also booked an engine service for when I reach Ellesmere, because the Jolly Roger is in desperate need of a good going over. When you live on a boat and you know that bad weather's coming, heading to a town or village feels a little bit like finding safe harbour at sea. You've got supplies nearby, people around, and somewhere safe to sit it out. So the forecast says it's going to go down to -3, which isn't too cold. However, it is enough to freeze canals, and it is a very rural canal, so getting supplies isn't that easy. So you sort of have to plan things a lot more carefully. This is another bonus of heading to the town of Ellesmere today, because I can get properly stocked up on all my groceries, and as everyone already knows, I'm not exactly a master chef, so most of my meals tend to be one-pot wonders. Stews, soups and anything that can quietly bubble away on top of the stove while I crack on with boating life. I have still got plenty of dried goods left, but the freezer's starting to look a bit empty and I've officially run out of fresh vegetables, and that's usually a sign for me that it's time to find some civilization. Winter boating does have its perks though, because everything is so much quieter. So you tend to notice things a lot more, like the wildlife. You know, they get a little bit more confident as well and come closer. I've seen so many squirrels, and also there's hardly anybody about. And I've always got to sort of make my best boaty friends over winter, because you're spending a lot more time together. Whereas in the summer, you'll moor up for 2 days maybe, get to know some boaters and maybe never see them again. But in winter, because you're normally on these short stretches, you end up getting to know them a lot better, which is a sort of magical part of it all. And talking about magical, just get through this bridge. It is very magical on the canals, you know, misty mornings. I'm going to say clear skies at times, but this, you can see that we've probably got snow coming, can't you? It's that white sky, and it's been this white sky for days. I wouldn't say winter boating is harder, but it is more deliberate. Everything takes a little more thought. You're always thinking a few days ahead about your water, the weather, how much daylight you've got, and whether moving the boat is a good idea or a terrible one that you'll regret halfway through because it starts peeing down. And of course, there's also that trying to find a mooring where stepping off means solid ground rather than slowly sinking into mud. In the summer you can be a lot more spontaneous, but in winter every move has a reason. So we're not far now from Ellesmere, and I'm really looking forward to getting to some civilization for a little bit. And the best thing I'm looking forward to is some fish and chips, because I've got a chippy there. Us Brits love our fish and chips, we really do. But first I'm going to head to the service block, get rid of my rubbish, empty my cassettes, fill up with water, and then if this big weather front comes in and I need to hunker down for a few days, then I'll be fine. That boat on the right there is called Saturn and is one of the last surviving Shropshire Union fly boats, built in 1906.
Now, flyboats were the express boats of the canal age, travelling day and night with horses changed along the route so goods could keep moving almost continuously. They often carried things like mail, cheese and fresh dairy produce. Other working boats back then carrying potteries, steel, coal and everything would move out the way and let these flyboats past. Pretty much like Amazon delivery of the 1900s.
So that's the facilities done, and now to find the mooring, and apparently there is one down the arm, so I'm going to go down there, right next to everything.
The Ellesmere arm is actually a dead end, but there is a winding hole at the bottom so you can turn round. And another bonus of winter boating is that between October and the end of March, most short stay moorings like here turn into 2 weeks. So you have a lot more time to explore an area instead of always having to move on. And I've found a brilliant spot here. Firm ground, no mud and only a short walk to Tesco. With bad weather forecasts, this feels like a perfect place to hunker down, plenty of boats around and a lovely sense of the boating community.
So we've just got ourselves all moored up here at Ellesmere, and we timed it perfectly because it's absolutely peeing it down outside. So that's great timing. So I'm going to get myself a coffee, sit here because it is lovely and toasty, and I'll catch up with you in the morning. So good morning, I'm still here at Ellesmere because I've got an engineer coming to do a full service on the engine on the Jolly Roger in a few days' time. So although he's a mobile engineer, you still have to moor somewhere where there's parking, which is perfect at the end of here, and also it's not far for him to carry his tools. And what's really lovely about here at Ellesmere is it's a concrete path, you know, it's like you're not walking through loads of mud, which I have been for most of this winter. But anyway, whilst I'm here, I wanted to show you something. So apparently in this big house here on the corner, Thomas Telford lived there. Now, if you're in the canal world, you'll know that that name is quite a big deal. Thomas Telford is a little bit of a legend. He was born in 1757 in Scotland. His dad was a shepherd, although he did die not long after Thomas was born, so he was raised by his mum. And life would have been quite tough back then, and at 14 years of age, he went to work as a stonemason. And from there he ended up as one of Britain's greatest ever civil engineers. I mean, this guy went on to build some pretty incredible things, including the Ponkersulfley Aqueduct, the world's highest canal aqueduct that stretches over the River Dee. Absolutely amazing masterpiece of engineering. He also built the Chirk Aqueduct, which is equally as beautiful. It's windy. And then it wasn't just canals either that he was responsible for. He also built the Menai Bridge, suspension bridge, which is the first of its type in its day and connects Anglesey into Wales.
It's incredible to think that this house was once home to the man planning one of the greatest engineering projects of his time. Just imagine Ellesmere back then, a hub of huge industrial ambition. I would have really loved to have sat down and shared a run with that guy. These days though, Ellesmere is a quiet canal town that instantly feels warm and welcoming, sitting right beside the Mere, which is a natural lake formed thousands of years ago. It has a slightly different feel from most canal towns. The town grew as a market town long before the canals arrived, and today remains a favourite with boaters because of the independent shops, historic buildings, and everything is within easy walking distance from your boat. In summer it's busy with passing boats and visitors, but in winter it slows down and begins to feel a little bit like home for a while. You've got supplies nearby, proper paths instead of mud, and it's a good place to wait out whatever the weather decides to do next. So the town of Ellesmere is surrounded by all these meres, and as I mentioned in a previous vlog, the meres were formed by glaciers over 10 to 15,000 years ago. They were created when the glaciers melted and left these big deep hollows. But we love the town of Ellesmere because it's got loads of quirky little bars, they have folk nights on, live music, it has a laundrette, lots of shops, so it's a brilliant place just to moor on the canal, and then you've got all this. Access to all this, lovely walks. It's just a brilliant place if you're a boater to moor for a few days. Oh, bloody hell. I think I've got one with a dodgy wheel. Oh, this is going to be harder than I thought it would be. Oh, there we go. Oh. Here we go. Good morning. Today is engine service day. So what I'm going to do is move the boat just up to the end there near Tesco, so it's closer for the engineer, and also it's warming up the oil, ready for the oil change. Yeah, but I've not had this boat serviced, and I've had it since, well, last July. I've been living on it, so yeah, it's desperate for a service. So loads of you guys are probably saying, how do you just service the engine yourself? You can do it. Well, the thing is, because I don't know when this boat was last serviced, because it's new to me, and also it's had a big paint job in between, I'd rather it be professionally done, and then if there's anything that's out of the ordinary, then they'll know, whereas I haven't got a clue. My dad was a mechanic, and I am just not at all mechanical. I don't like getting my hands dirty. When I look at an engine, I'm like, oh God, what's that? Right, if we'll just pull in here, actually, I was going to say I'll turn it. In fact, I'll turn round and then pull in, and then at least then the rear's ready for him to fiddle with. See, this is where the bow thruster just comes into a road. Look at this. See, the bow thruster works perfectly for stuff like this, but in winds, just doesn't stand a chance. My mate Nikki now, if she was watching this, she'd be calling me a pussy. But I've spent 15 years without one. Now I've got one. Loving it. So I've got myself all moored up here, and my engineer's just turned up now, Andy. Really lovely guy, knowledgeable guy, and he's given her a right good fettling now, changing the filters and checking all over for me. And I've just found out, I thought this boat had 12,000 engine hours, but it turns out it's only 1,200. So she's hardly been run. She's a 2014, I think she is, 2014 XR&D. And she's not done much at all. But obviously since I've had her, I was stuck on the river for 5.5 months. Still cruising all the time, just up and down. And then obviously I've been stuck on the Llangollen since that breach. But anyway, she's getting a good going over, so she'll be ready for the adventures, hopefully, that lie ahead. So we've had the engine service done. I'm going to tell you what he did and what he found, and we've poured ourselves a rum. So this is the Appleton Estate rum from Kaz and Tink, and we're going to have it. I need this today. With some ginger wine I got from Jenny. And whilst I am pouring this, a huge thank you to this week's pirate crew. Thank you for everything you do. So if you've never tried rum or whiskey with ginger wine, then you are missing a trick, because it's absolutely gorgeous. Right, back to my engine service. So Andy was absolutely fantastic. He really gave the boat a good going over, proper check for everything, because he knew I was anxious, because I don't know this boat's history, as in when it was last serviced or how often it was serviced, and I'm normally quite anal with that sort of stuff. So he proper gave it a good going over. And obviously as well, this boat was taken out of the water and given a full big paint job, and it was grinded within an inch of its life. And I never got them to paint in the engine bay because I thought no one looks in there. So I was dead embarrassed when he lifted up my boards and it was filthy. But good news is everything was fine. Checked my engine mounts. He changed my oil filter, my fuel filter, my other little fuel filter. Changed all my oils, including the gearbox oil. And also whilst he was here, I got him to check over other things on the boat as well. So he checked all my electrics. And because I've got Life PO4, I need to notify my insurance company. So he's going to make some changes there. I've got to have quite a few things changed and then I can get a certificate. So he's going to do all that. It's only because my boat safety certificate's due in a few months' time. So it means I can get it all done. So he's going to come back and do that. But it was absolutely fantastic. Highly recommended. I'll put his contact details in the description. But anyway, so that's done. We're ready for new adventures. We just need the bleeding canal to open now. Woohoo! Talking of which, might be heading over to Whitchurch next week to actually have a look at the site where the breach happened, which I've not done myself yet. So be worth seeing how it's progressing. But anyway, cheers to a busy week, everyone. Woohoo! Just wet the lips. Top ones. That is absolutely gorgeous. It's a longer drink, so it lasts you longer, doesn't it? Anyway, I'm going to leave the video there. If you have enjoyed it, please do give us a big thumbs up. It really helps the channel. Subscribe down below if you haven't already. Absolutely free to do. And before I go, just a massive, huge thank you to my lovely, gorgeous patrons. So that's it. Please take care, stay safe, and I'll see you next week.